Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, top leaders at FBI, CIA, and other intelligence agencies share the biggest global dangers facing the United States.
And today is National Women's Day. We take a look at how one university group is celebrating women and how women are leading our communities in eastern Kentucky.
Plus, we're not done yet with showers as we head through the back half of the work week. The latest on our next system coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley.
And I'm Olivia Calfee. America's intelligence agencies work around the clock every day to keep the country safe from dangers from around the world.
And most of the time, the public never hears about the threats they face. But today, the heads of the intelligence agencies spoke publicly while testifying before Congress. CBS's Nicole D'Antonio has more from Capitol Hill.
Lawmakers had plenty of questions for U.S. intelligence chiefs about the dangers Americans face from countries around the world, but especially the threats coming from China.
Needless to say, the People's Republic of China, which is increasingly challenging the United States economically, technologically, politically, and militarily around the world, remains our unparalleled priority.
The intelligence agency leaders testified about threats from China, including the infamous spy balloons, cyber threats, and even the intelligence report, which laid out the possibility that the coronavirus originated at a lab in Wuhan.
The FBI has long assessed, going all the way back to the summer of 2021, that the origin of the pandemic was likely a lab incident in Wuhan.
Lawmakers also wanted to hear the latest on the possibility that China could provide weapons to Russia to help in its invasion of Ukraine.
During the past year, the threat has been additionally complicated by a deepening collaboration with Russia, which also remains an area, obviously, of intense focus for the intelligence community.
While weapons of war remain a concern, cyber threats pose new challenges that governments are still struggling to catch up with.
New technologies, particularly in the field of AI and biotechnologies, are being developed and proliferating faster than companies and governments are able to shape norms governing their use.
Lawmakers also laid out their concern that user data from TikTok gives China a popular weapon in the cyber war. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Other areas of concern in the intelligence report include nuclear threats from North Korea and Iran. The report also indicates climate change is still a real threat to national security.
A new rule has been proposed for wastewater from coal-fired power plants. It would regulate 3 types of wastewater generated at coal-fired power plants, and it would also address wastewater stored in coal ash ponds. The proposed rule will not impact coal-fired power plants that already plan to stop burning the fuel by 2032. The National Mining Association slammed the plan, calling it plainly irresponsible. President Biden is set to unveil his budget Thursday in Philadelphia. Administration officials say a $3 trillion deficit reduction will be a central part of his proposal. The president has offered several revenue-raising proposals to help him reach his deficit reduction goals, including a new tax on households worth more than $100 million and quadrupling a tax on stock buybacks. Experts say the president's budget is unlikely to become law, as presidential budgets rarely pass through Congress untouched.
U.S. officials are working with Mexican authorities to get the bodies of 2 Americans abducted and murdered in Mexico returned to the United States.
Shai Woodard and Zindell Brown were kidnapped at gunpoint last Friday. 2 others traveling with them were brought back to the U.S. on Tuesday.
Now, we want to warn you, you may find some of the images in this report disturbing. CBS's Christian Benavidez has the latest on the investigation from Miami.
Our hearts go out to the family members who lost loved ones. It is devastating.
The White House is determined to bring justice to those who kidnapped 4 Americans in northern Mexico last week. 2 were killed.
This is clearly a priority for us, and we want to get to the bottom of this.
The terrifying ordeal unfolded last Friday when 4 friends, Latavia McGee Eric Williams, Zindel Brown, and Shaid Woodard were abducted after crossing the border into Mexico from Brownsville, Texas. A U.S. law enforcement source told CBS News investigators believe the Gulf Cartel was responsible for the attack, though it's still unclear why they were taken at gunpoint. Mexican officials believe the abductees were moved several times before being found at a stash house near Matamoros. McGee and Williams, who was shot in the leg, were returned to the U.S. in an ambulance Tuesday. Williams is recovering from surgery at Valley Regional Medical Center in Brownsville, Texas. One of McGee's family members told CBS News the group was traveling from South Carolina so she could undergo a cosmetic procedure, and said McGee had been to the region before for similar reasons. It's not uncommon for Americans to travel to Mexico for medical procedures. More than 1 million traveled last year for health tourism, spending about $250 million. Many also go south of the border for cheaper prescription drug prices, but the area where the 4 Americans were abducted is one of at least 5 Mexican territories under a State Department do not travel advisory. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
Mexico's president says those responsible will be found and punished. So far, a 24-year-old man is in custody.
Well, we've kept clouds in abundance throughout the day. Today, you see the view from UVA-Y as the low cloud deck remains. It's been a chilly day as well. Many areas still seeing temperatures in the 40s. Prestonsburg's at 43, 42 in Pikeville, 41 at Clintwood, and 44 in Grundy. A little milder further south as you head into the Cumberland Valley, into the upper 40s in Middlesboro, and low 50s still in Jacksboro. We will continue to see the calmer weather lead to chilly weather as we head into tonight. Upper 20s, low to mid 30s region-wide. That's in the Cumberland Valley, into the Kentucky River Valley, same thing. Into those low 30s at times, and middle and upper 20s in the Big Sandy. Details, though, on when a few showers could return to the forecast. That'll be in a few minutes. Olivia?
Thank you, Evan. Today is International Women's Day, a day to celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women around the world. The University of Kentucky has a variety of female-focused clubs and organizations, including the UK Women in Neuroscience Club. The organization looks to encourage and empower female neuroscience students, not just on International Women's Day, but all the time.
I think here at UK, everybody's been very accepting and really supportive of the push that we're trying to make in making sure that women are visible in all cylinders of STEM and science and math and technology and engineering.
Founders of the club explained the importance of UK having a visible female presence in STEM since it is typically a male-dominant field. Coming up at 6, we will highlight 2 local women who are making a difference as leaders in their communities. We hope you will stick around as we share the stories of a mayor and superintendent as they explain how they led through historic flooding. Coming up on Mount